how do you know right now that you're supposed to be recording your journey on writing this book?
Yeah. I have to know that anything that I do, I'm doing it because it's helping me to be a better creative and a better person. And, you know, if people get to hear it, that's awesome and just icing on the cake, but I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
And I want to remember this. Like, I want to remember this process, you know? This is me trying to answer, like, who am I? That's what any creative body of work is. It's just consistently asking that question, who am I? You know? And then it goes into the book, though, because I don't know why I'm this way. I don't know why I feel so deeply about certain things. And if I really do care about myself, like, I will keep asking that question and I'll keep digging into it. But what I think is interesting about the book is I'm going down this path of figuring out and playing with the idea of reincarnation to answer that question, who am I? So not just who am I now, who have I been?
I go down these rabbit holes sometimes.
It does, that's the thing, I use that word too. It feels like a rabbit hole, and I am so afraid to go down it. I really am. I'm so afraid. But that's what all creative vulnerability is it's
Sure.
just like, I'm so afraid of this, and I'm going to let myself explore it.
Yeah.
When I first started this book, I wrote down, I'm afraid to start writing this because I'm afraid of what's down there. I still think about that.
Wow.
And I wrote that like 2.5 years ago.
So what have you found down there so far? And have you even scratched the surface?
Like a teeny tiny little scratch. I think opening myself up to this as a conversation is already that's scratching the surface, because when I do talk to people about, even if I just pitch that, what I just said to you, like maybe you lived before, and maybe I lived before, and maybe we knew each other before. Even just that small conversation, it blows you away. It makes the matrix sort of melt away.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps people to think outside the box. And I think for me, with what I like about the idea of reincarnation is it allows for empathy. And I want whatever work it is that I do, whether that's, you know, photography or writing or being a parent or being a person, like whatever, because I really believe that life is art, that the way you live your life is your art. And I really believe that the greatest work I can do is to create empathy. You know, to create empathetic children for the world, to create a body of work, a book that helps people look at their fellow humans with empathy. Yeah. And I think that's what reincarnation gives us. Whether or not you believe in it, think of it as a tool. It gives us permission to explore the fact that we have been hurt before, and we've been hurt a lot, you know, and we've been hurting each other since humans have been on this planet.
It's like the constant that we all share. It's like pain, suffering.
Right.
But there's two sides.
But can we pay that back? Like, can we right that wrong? Can we say sorry another time? I want to be somebody who shows up and shows that I am like everybody else, you know, and I want to show this behind the scenes sort of conflict, this inner conflict that's happening with me now. I mean, who knows where I'm going to be in a year or 2 years with this process, but I want people to see that I'm really doubting all of it. You know, I doubt all of it every day, and that doubt isn't stopping me from doing the thing. Mm-hmm. But showing up to show the doubt, I think, is what's really important. I was re-listening to the first episode of season 1 just because it felt like a masochistic thing to do, to listen to myself.
No.
But I was listening to that and I was saying I'm afraid to forget. That was what that whole episode was about. It was about being really afraid to forget. I said, quote, moment to moment loss. Like, you lose every moment. Like, this conversation that we're having is really special and really awesome. And I enjoy my time with you so much, but it's going to end, you know? And when you're somebody like me who, like, feels loss so viscerally, and I feel like, you know, I feel as though I'm somebody who feels loss and grief in ways that are small and nuanced and not just the end grief of somebody dying, you know. But, like, I'm going to miss this time with you. I'm going to miss this conversation. I'm going to miss the way my kids look at me. And I'm going to miss all of that and letting that translate into fear. I'm so afraid to forget it. I realized this year when I've just done so much journaling through my own psyche, and I realized that every art form that I do, every single one, is about preservation. Every one. This is what we're doing right here. Like, I call you and I'm like, I want you to bring your cameras and I want to record what's going on right now. Like, I'm obsessed with preservation.
Encaustic work.
Encaustic is me picking a flower off the tree, saying, this is so unbelievably beautiful that I cannot see it die. That I put it in wax so that I can preserve that flower so that it hangs on my wall and I don't have to, like, not see that flower anymore. Huh. That's what encaustic is.
Yeah.
My photography is just me saying I don't want to forget anything about what I see in front of me. That's what photography is. Writing is me saying I don't want to forget my thoughts. I write down my thoughts obsessively. I'm afraid to forget anything I say. So I write it down.
Your main character in your book is doing similar things?
Yeah. One of my main characters that I'm naming Sarah is pretty much me, and I do feel like that's a cop-out, and I do want to make her slightly different from me, but I've never written a novel before, and this is the first time I've really written anything long form. I mean, what I write now is poetry, which is so short form, and journaling, which is, you know, stream of consciousness. So writing a novel, I'm going to take the easy way out because I've never done it before. And one of the things that I've heard, which is true, is you always start with what you know, the character you know best, and that's yourself. That's where every aspiring author starts. One of their characters is them. Because we only know ourselves, so we don't really know another voice. And I think that's what's really difficult for me in learning how to write, is learning how to write other people's voices.
Finding the voice.
So my character starts with this: I am afraid to forget. That's it. You have to break it down to a simple sentence. So Sarah is afraid to forget. Why is she afraid to forget? Well, another aspect that I pulled from myself, in my book, Sarah's mother was very much a minimalist, and she didn't keep her daughter's, school assignments. She didn't hold on to really anything of value to let Sarah have memories of her childhood. You know, she wanted her home to be clean, and she wanted her home to be very sterile. She wanted, bare walls, and she didn't want kids' artwork hanging up there, for example. She didn't hold on to things for sentimental value. She didn't hold on to anything of her parents and her, ancestors. She got rid of all of that. When her parents died, she just got rid of it. And so when she dies, Sarah is angry at her mother because she feels as though she has nothing to remember her childhood by. She has just a handful of little trinkets. She's got really nothing. She doesn't have photos. Her mom didn't take photos. Her mom didn't save any of her artwork. So she doesn't really have a way to do what I'm doing now, which is keep asking this question, who am I? She doesn't have, her own archive. No
right? Jumping off point.
Great-grandparent stuff. Shove it in the storage unit. And that's where she ends up finding this camera. And the camera ends up being a narrator. And the camera actually comes alive. And so the camera is a voice in the book, and I'm playing with this idea of, so in Victorian times when the camera was invented, people believed that a camera took in your soul. So when the shutter opened up, your soul was being sucked into it. But it's like any new technology. You fear what you don't know, and they had barely even had mirrors back then, so you have to remember these people barely even saw their own reflection. They almost didn't know what they looked like, right? And so it was the devil's work. It was dark magic and evil. And I'm playing now. This is where fiction comes in, is super fun. Is as a photographer, I learned this history, and I was like, whoa, wouldn't it be so cool if a book existed where that was true, where the book actually does take in the soul of who it photographs. I've never written fiction before, but it feels more fun. It's magical realism, historical fiction is like the two genres I'm picking, because it is historical fiction, and because I'm somebody who's always read historical fiction, and as I just said, I love to study history and the way in which we as humans have evolved, but also how are we still the same. That's really where it resides. So I'm going to be playing with this jumping through time. The camera is the portal. And we've definitely ingested stories that have some kind of portal. I mean, Harry Potter is like the most iconic, right? He's going in a wall, Right. There's somewhere to get you there, to the next place. And the camera is the portal. So you always need to have some kind of portaling. Like I'm listening to on Audible, and I'm also watching Outlander. The portal is the stones, right? She's able to move through time by touching these stones. So whenever you're dealing with some kind of historical fiction and magic, you need a portal to get you there. You're like, what year are we in? Where are we? But what I think I want to exist is for that portal to have a voice. And I don't think that there's really been a story that's done where the portal has a voice. I kind of want to play with that idea of like, is the camera good or bad? We don't really know.
A photagonist?
Wait, that's definitely like the trailer, right?